It was June of 1972. I was one of 100,000 students who gathered in Dallas, Texas for what's been called Woodstock for Christians. It brought young believers from all over the world for an intensive week of evangelistic training, culminating in a mass outdoor rally that attracted 250,000 people to hear Dr. Billy Graham, Dr. Bill Bright, the founder of Campus Crusade for Christ, and musical guests, people like Johnny Cash, Larry Norman, Love Song, Andre Crouch, and many, many more. It was life-changing for me. Now, had that event not happened, I wouldn't be here tonight doing what I do. I'm not sure what I would be doing, but I'm real sure of this: you would never have heard of me, ever. Well, this June, at least 70,000 young people are expected to gather at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas for the largest evangelistic training event in 50 years. It's the 50th anniversary of Explo 72. It's called Together 22. Here to tell us about it, please welcome Dr. Paul Eshelman of Cru, formerly Campus Crusade for Christ, evangelist, author, and organizer of Together 22, Nick Hall. Great having you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike.
I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time. Nick is one of the most, renowned Christian leaders, speaking to hundreds of thousands, actually to millions of young people and motivating them, really in a new generation. But Paul, I got a connection to you. I never met you until tonight. I told you several times, you are my hero. You put together this incredible event called Explo 72. And I don't know how it worked, but it did. I just got to know the logistics of bringing in 100,000 students from around the world and finding places for them to stay and getting them to and from the Dallas Cotton Bowl every night. How did you pull that off?
That was a time in my life and in the life of the country that everybody was talking about what's really important in life.
Yeah.
And what are you standing for? And it was good at that time to be standing for something that wouldn't ever evaporate or wouldn't ever just be because you're a part of a particular party. You could stand for something. Yeah. And I think that's why this new movement of young people who seem to be looking everywhere for something to stand for has come again here in 50 years late.
We were a very divided country in 1972. We'd just gone through the 60s, which was incredibly tumultuous, violent. Vietnam was still raging. People were angry and divided. We were dealing with political divides, not unlike what we are now. Nick, I know you weren't around in 1972 like Paul and I were, but I also know that the Jesus movement gave the counterculture a counterculture to the counterculture and woke a lot of people up. And we realized that the ultimate answers to fixing the country were not political, they were spiritual. So tell us the genesis now of this 50th anniversary of Explo Together 22.
Yeah, well, I've been a student of what happened, and Paul's been a hero of mine for a long time as well. And while I wasn't around yet in 72, it impacted my life, it impacted my family. Actually, I'm from North Dakota, and young people hopped on buses and vans, came from North Dakota, Bible camp directors. Young people caught fire, right? They came alive in their faith, and they brought the gospel back home. That was the goal of the event. It was never to fill a stadium. It was always to send a generation out. And so some of those students in the years that followed ended up leading my dad to Christ.
Wow.
And so that's how my family was changed. And so we've been studying this movement, and we've just been saying, man, God, we need a new Jesus movement. It seems so similar to what was going on back then.
Yeah.
That's right. We need revival today.
You know, I guess it's fair to say that, like me, you wouldn't be here either if it weren't for Explo, because the students who came back, who then shared Christ with your father, and the result was that you are now a second-generation follower. This album that you brought tonight, I love this because I had a copy of this. I ended up getting another one. And this is something young people have never seen before. This is called a record, you know? And it's got all the music of that great rally with Johnny Cash and Connie Smith and Andre Crouch and Larry Norman. It was revolutionary at the time. And there were a lot of people, Paul, in the church world who didn't really necessarily approve of not just the music, but all these hippie-looking kids.
Yeah, but you know what happened? They started to talk to some of those kids, and they found people that loved and followed Jesus. And it drew them together as never before. And it's so much so that in the news that we're seeing every night on the television is all pointing toward Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege of talking to a bunch of folks just in the last few days in the Ukraine who told me what they had been doing for the last 2 months. And one of my close friends said, we were able to move 274,000 people out of the Soviet Union and into safety in this last week. All of these people committed to follow Christ who want to help people because they knew Christ, met him personally, and he changed their life.
Nick, if you believed it was going to collapse, you wouldn't be putting this event on in Dallas.
Yeah.
So what is the basis of your hope that this is going to turn around and we're going to see sanity once again in our country?
Yeah, I mean, we believe moments of historic change are marked by historic gatherings, like Expo 72, or like the I Have a Dream speech, the March on Washington. Yeah. And I think we're living in a moment where you're seeing unrest at every level. You see people all over the country saying something needs to shift, something needs to change. We believe that Jesus is the only answer. People always say this next generation is our future, but we believe they're only our future if we make them our present. And so we booked the stadium. We believe it's not just a stadium. We believe this is an altar. We believe that we're building something because we believe that God wants to set a generation apart. He wants to call them, just like he called their parents and grandparents. I believe this is a new revival generation. We've seen them fill our streets in protests. We've seen some of the destruction that can happen. And I just say, man, imagine when God gets a hold of these kids. It's going to change the world.
It would be such a remarkable thing. And to go back to the Cotton Bowl, first of all, it's a miracle that it's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old stadium. Most of those old stadiums have been torn down.
Absolutely.
Maybe the Lord preserved it just so that there could be a reunion 50 years after. Yeah. But I wouldn't miss it for the world. I already booked my hotel and my flights. I'm going to be there. I absolutely, when I heard about it, I said, count me in. I'm going to be there. And just like I was then, a fly on the wall, just blown away by the experience of it. Paul, I want to mention to a lot of people, because they saw the Jesus film in the 70s and 80s, that was your project. Translated into over 2,000 languages. I think it was like 8 billion people across the world have seen that Jesus film, and it's resulted in hundreds of thousands, if not, well, millions of people coming to know the Lord. I mean, I look at two of the most significant spiritual things that have happened in my lifetime, Explo 72 and the Jesus film. You were right in the middle of both of them. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's the grace of God.
Well, Nick, I want you to tell people, how do they be a part of Together 22?
Yeah.
Sign up for it? What do you do?
Yeah, so people can hop online, pulse.org, and register. We're encouraging people, just like they did in 72, to book a bus, to book a van, do whatever you need to do. We're saying it's together or bust. There is no other solution.
Yeah.
We need each other. We need to come together. It's time for the church to rally. It's time for a new generation to rally. These are our teenagers, our 20-somethings, but man, you know what? We want mom and dad to get their kids to come. We want grandpa and grandma to come and bring their family. Let's have a reunion together. It's time to get the Jesus people back together again. And it's time to welcome a new Jesus movement. So again, hop online, register, free gathering. We're doing this all for free. We're doing it for free because we want to make it available for those that maybe can't come otherwise. And we just really believe that God is going to pour out his Spirit this summer. Tons of bands, tons of preachers. We're trying to equip a new generation to make Jesus known.
I think it's going to be an extraordinary event. I can't wait to be there. And I hope that all the people watching, as well as the folks here in our studio audience, will mark these dates down, June the 24th and 25th. Together 22, June 24 and 25 at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. It is simple. Register, get all the information you need. We've got links to it at Huckabee.tv. So if you go to our website, I promise we'll take you straight to Together 22